Patch 10.15 is out, and why is 10.15 so massive, man? So much content. Is it a lot of content? A lot of people will argue for and against, but to be fair, for a 10.15 patch, it's quite a little bit, considering that, you know, we didn't used to have this much content in big patches in the past, Shadowlands. But with that out of the way, we are going to be looking at everything that's coming into the 10.15 patch, essentially all of the new leveling additions, the class reworks, talent reworks, buffs, nerfs, Dragonriding changes in the mount and the mega dungeon and all of that stuff. So let's get right into it. The first thing you'll probably notice is that there's new world content that you can do, and one of which is time rifts. Now, time rifts happen in Thaldraszus and they usually go every hour. They're little tiny events, world events rather, mini scenarios where you do a couple of quests kind of associated with the specific time rift theme, because they will be themed towards a specific event in the past or specific expansion in the past, and it kind of culminates with a scenario where you fight a particular boss and you will get rewards, and so many rewards. Some of the rewards for completing the time rifts event are reputation tokens for that specific expansion's most important faction, gold, currency, paracausal flakes, by the way, which can be used to buy 402 veteran upgradable gear if you do this on your alts, for instance, so a little bit of a catch-up, but also mounts, pets, transmogs, and many other goodies the vendors offer there, which is quite a few. It's actually really exciting. There's a lot of stuff to do just going out into the world, and some probably potentially OP trinkets. It's kind of hard to know at the moment. It's kind of hard to sim them, but they're at least very cool, very themed towards Frostmourns and Sulfuruses and all that stuff. For pet fans, you also have Whelp Daycare, which is a new type of content that you can do. It's essentially daily content to take care of a whelp, because, you know, we all miss the Tamagotchi days, which will reward you with a battle pet, because that's cool. Battle pets are the Pokemons of WoW. Everybody does battle pets, we know that for sure. And of course, we cannot talk about 10.15 without talking about the Mega Dungeon, probably the biggest feature that we're gonna have in the new patch. It is a mega dungeon. We already talked about it in a video, which you can check, but this is located in Thaldraszus at the temporal conflicts where the bronze dragonflight is. Essentially, you see the big hourglass, that's most likely where it is. You will get into the dungeon from there. It will be released as a Mythic 0 only difficulty dungeon. We've known this from the past ways that they've addressed mega dungeons. It will have its heroic difficulties and so on, and Mythic Plus probably in 10.2, which is usually what happens with the difficulties. Although it's not really confirmed, usually mega dungeons have a hardcore or hard mode ways that you can do the dungeon by enabling certain events that give you access to a little bit higher loot and maybe some unique things that only drop in the hard mode. We'll see, but at least you know that you will have upgradable heroic gear, or hero gear rather, in Mythic 0 difficulty dungeons, which is really cool. And there are some special effect items as well, not to mention that all of the details about the dungeon in terms of bosses, aesthetics, alliance versus horde, all the things with Chromie, the puzzle and everything, we already have videos on our channel, and you can find the links to those videos down in the description. Dawn of the Infinite Mega Dungeon is amazing. It's worth the whole patch all on its own. But of course, it doesn't come all on its own, because we have classes and races updates and redesigns, which is fantastic. First of all, they've removed the allied race restrictions other than the level requirements being 40, so you can essentially unlock everything that you want and just play whatever you want. They've also removed the riding skill cost and the need to visit a trainer. As you get the required riding level, you'll also automatically learn the riding skills available for your level. Level 10 for apprentice riding, 20 for journeyman, 30 for expert, 40 for master, and at level 30, after completing the Time to Fly quest, players will receive a new mount, which we've talked a little bit earlier, the Harbor Griffin for Alliance and the Scarlet Pterodax for Horde. Together with all of this, we have class changes. We all know the Mage rework is coming. The talents have been swapped around to different positions. The biggest probably is the removal of Rune of Power, and some abilities have become baseline. We also have videos covering the Mage rework, so you can check those out, but mages rejoice. Holy Paladins have also received the rework. The talent tree has been swapped around, and playstyle changes will be the norm when it comes to Holy Paladins. Likely you're going to be way happier in 10.1.5 if you're a Holy Paladin main. There are of course some changes to Warlocks for all specs and talent redesigns, and maybe some removal of some of the spells. First of all, everybody everybody can be a warlock excepting the Dracthyrs, which is yay for Tauren warlocks. You'll also have a lot more customization options for your demons, including Infernals and Doomguards if you visit a barber shop. The barbershop UI will also inform you what item you need for specific customization if you haven't unlocked it yet. And after so many years, we can once again have updated models for our demons. We tested out the quest chain beginning in positions from Assistant Phineas in the Cleft of Shadows in Orgrimmar. It's a fun journey where you get to do a bunch of warlocky things, culminating in rewarding you the Armored Imps customization, which obviously this has a counterpart for Alliance in Stormwind. Also, Worgens get 5 new fur colors, cause woof. This patch will also introduce the release of the new spec for Dracthyrs. The support spec is a new concept to WoW dropped in the middle of the expansion. The Augmentation Evoker spec, of course. The toolkit focuses on Black and Bronze Dragonflight magic, Earth and Time spells. And you'll be doing buffs, which are augments by buffing allies while doing damage. And this may become mandatory in group content like raids or dungeons on the high end of things, but even more so in dungeons thanks to their passive ability Close as Clutchmates, making some abilities 40% more effective while not in a raid. Their mastery also grants 2 allies versatility when casting empowered spells. Some of the augmentations it offers through talents are buffing allies' main stats or crit, or having their abilities echo for another 15%, increased damage and stuff. Buffing health or movement speed, granting cooldown reductions on major abilities, debuffing enemies and making your allies deal more damage to them, a cheat death that heals nearby allies when it activates, granting extra armor for your tanks, granting increased range for a healer of choice, also allowing them to cast while moving for the duration of the spell, and so much more. It's looking good. And hey, if you don't just play endgame, you might be leveling as well, and there are changes made to leveling. First of all, it's made clear for new players, and Chromie helps you choose the expansion you wish in level by explaining where she can send you, which is obviously really good for players coming in, because leveling for new players has been a controversy in late. All expansion restrictions are now removed, and the max level for this has been increased to level 61, so you can essentially level into any expansion that you want, all the way up until you need to go to the Dragon Isles. Newly created ally races will also be directed towards Chromie now instead of the Warboard, which is better especially for people who don't know that they can just choose an expansion. Changes to Dragonriding. Oh boy, you now have races in Kalimdor with the Kalimdor Grand Prix and loads of achievements tied to it for normal, advanced and reverse difficulties. There's been Dragonriding added to a lot of old drakes that they no longer feel obsolete. For example, there are nether drakes, proto drakes and even the sandstone drakes from alchemy. On top of this, some of the old mounts which seem to get Dragonriding in the next patch are not even drakes, like Dread Ravens and Sky Screamers and Fire Hawks and all of that, so essentially what everybody asked for when they knew Dragonriding was coming to Dragon Isles a long time ago. There's also a new option added into the game which chooses the style that you want to fly. Since we're going to be flying outside of the Dragon Isles, you can choose the static flight style, which is probably what we've been used to, you know, just flying normally as we did for many years, or the dynamic ones, and you'll be able to choose if you prefer the old school or the Dragonriding with this change, which is fantastic. This has been exactly what we've been asking for. This is particularly good if you prefer to hover over something and not just land, which is not something that Dragonriding can do. Hopefully we will be able to land, swap style, and then hover and kind of mix and match, but we'll see how this mechanic progresses through the future. There are also a lot of changes coming to the user interface. First of all, the action bar icons now show a cast bar while casting or channeling and a green circle for targeted abilities. They also have updated animations for cooldowns, but also for spell procs and interrupted casts, which is fantastic. Arena unit frames have also been updated to better show debuffs. They are grayed out for invisible or stealth players and also now show the flag carriers. You have updated quest icons to show important quests at both the quest giver and the map, updates to button art, we have updated ring art for roll icons, pop-up frames, ready checks, rested animations in unit frames, updated cursor and totem art, making WoW look modern while also feeling more modern. There's also an added way to report players in the crafting order pane for inappropriate order notes, because come on guys, come on, stop it man, stop it. The edit mode now comes with the duration bars like fatigue, archaeology bar, and width and height sliders to the chat frame. everything seems to be getting a facelift nowadays. Yay! And you might be interested to know that the Onyx Annulet Stones will be nerfed by 40%, the ones that deal damage at the very least. Seal of Diurna's Chosen will have its damage reduced by 25% because it's still good for some specs. And the gear upgrades will go to 447 eye level, so Mythic plus 20s will be the more direct option to get the 447 Vault gear. However, 16s will be enough if you have Aspect Crest to spend and upgrade your items to 447. We will also get rid of the cross-realm goal restrictions when it comes to trading, so we can actually, yes, trade between realms. You'll also get an update on the appearance tab, while a tracking appearance option will be added where you can just shift-click an item you wish to track. It will be added to your objectives trackers where it will show where you can get that item. And furthermore, if you click the tracker objectives, you will get a pin on your map to where the dungeon, raid, or vendor is located to get that said item. And let's not forget, for the toy fans and those who enjoy bag space, the Garrison Hearthstone and the Dalaran Hearthstones are now toys. 2 slots open is fantastic. This is just amazing for a 10.15 patch. We get a lot of new stuff to play with, a lot of updates to old systems, old UI things. Everything is getting modernized with Dragonflights, and although this is quite a journey to go from old school to new school all throughout an expansion, it's good to know that even 0.1, 0.5 patches are this beefy, and this should cover most, if not all, the things that you would be interested in the 10.15 patch. If you want to support our channel, consider becoming a Patreon. The Patreon directly supports all of these videos and a lot more to come. The link is down in the description. If you do decide to become a Patreon, there's a bunch of tiers there that you can check to have access to certain goodies like wallpapers made, like bloopers and Patreon talks and all of that stuff, all in thanks to your wonderful support, dear Patreon. So thank you very much. Thank you for watching the video as well, and see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
I've been loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classical retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still, I play WoW.